It's changed my life in a lot of ways. Being a part of SWAN has been super fulfilling. I hear from women all the time about the difference it's made in their lives, and so that kind of fuels me to keep me going. And then even as far as building my own book of business within insurance, when I attend a networking event now, I walk into a room and people know who I am, and they're saying, Angela, hi, and coming up to me, and I don't have to be the one to kind of go and interrupt somebody else's conversation. And so that one change in networking has made a huge difference where I don't fight against it like I used to, which has been very valuable.
The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and not necessarily those of WKTV Community Media.
Hello, West Michigan. This is Grand Tap Media Business TV. My name is Pamela Keim, your host. The spirit of the show is to introduce West Michigan to all the businesses, nonprofits, individuals that can help us thrive in our lives. We have a wonderful guest today, and I have asked her to be on my show, but she has something that's coming up that she wants everyone to know about. But this guest was afraid of networking. Maybe there's some people out listening today that is not something you like to do. You don't like going into events. I am telling you, this is the year you want to learn that skill. I go out today, I go to many events, I go to dinner parties, I go to group events, and even board meetings. And I'm telling you, people are losing their ability to connect with people, to even try, because since 2020, that has just plummeted on how to connect with people. We have gotten used to being alone and doing things by ourselves. And so when you go out, you have no skill. So that's why I wanted to have this person on the show, and she has this wonderful event coming, and she created this networking group that she's going to share called SWAN. You might have heard about SWAN, or maybe you saw her last year's interview. Well, she's going to be here talking about SWAN and how it can help women learn how to network and to connect with the community. So I want to introduce on the show Angela Schalow.
Hi.
I was going to say, I make sure, and I want you to tell all about SWAN, so I don't, make an error there. But I know all about SWAN. I know the people that you're connected to. I know what your mission was in SWAN, and that's why I'm glad you're back on the show, because I really want to know what you learned from last time you were on the show last year, on how your skills have changed and whatever. But please tell everybody why you started SWAN, and it was for Strong Women Rise Network.
Correct. Very
okay,
good. You got the acronym.
To help you overcome your fear of networking when you knew you had to learn because of your job, your position, and there's a lot of people that are supposed to go out and network, and they connect people, they know people, but the people don't know them.
Right.
So please share with us.
Absolutely. So yes, I have been an insurance agent for 11 years now. I specialize in business insurance. And my mentor, well-meaning man, told me, you just need to go out and you need to network until you know everyone. That is what you need to do. Like, that was his number one piece of advice. He said it every time we talked.
Just throw you into the wolves.
That wasn't his intention, right? And I think that for him that worked, right, with a little bit of a masculine approach and maybe an extroverted approach. But I myself am an introvert, and I would kind of feel some resistance just with the idea of going to these events, but I made myself do it with consistency because I was going to be successful in my business, whatever it took, right? So I'd go to these networking events, and then when I would arrive, everyone already knew each other. They're in conversations with each other. And how do you interrupt that conversation in order to be a part of it? And that was a challenge that I really struggled to figure out. And one day I showed up to the same networking event that I had been to every quarter for 3 years. And I realized I met the very objective he had set out before me. I knew every person there. And it didn't matter because they didn't know me. They didn't know my name. They didn't know what I do. They had never chosen to get a quote with me. They'd never referred business to me, even though I was referring business to them. And so I had hit the mark I was aiming for, but it was the wrong mark. And I left that meeting and I went home and I asked myself, how can I do this differently? How can I network in a way where I am being true to my introverted and feminine self, and by being more authentic and by having more fun, draw people to me as opposed to unintentionally kind of creating some resistance that was pushing people away. And so that is really the question that SWAN was born out of. And one of the things that we do differently is we do not have to pretend that we have everything all together all the time. If you couldn't get the kids out the door without a fight that morning, you can tell the truth that it was a frustrating morning, right? And so we lower some of those shields and we're more genuine, and that helps us build deeper and stronger relationships.
You started SWAN in Grand Rapids.
I did.
And I know now by watching you, you now have 3 chapters.
We do.
Now, tell us a little bit about what SWAN, I know it's a networking to connect or whatever, and training. So you said to yourself, other people need to learn this skill too?
Yes.
So how did you do it?
Yes, so we have multiple aspects to the organization. So we have our Facebook group where people can interact with each other daily with the, that screen in between you and the rest of the world if you feel like you need that. And when you interact with that regularly, we get to know you. We get to know your name and your face and what you do and some of the things that are going on in your life if you choose to reveal a little bit at a time, right? So then when we have our monthly networking events where we meet in person, a lot of times you walk into the room for the very first time and we're going, Pam, we've been waiting to meet you. We're so glad you're here. And so it's a totally different experience walking into a networking event where people are thrilled that somebody new has come rather than wanting to only talk to the people they already know. Yeah.
And what makes you there's a lot of networking groups out there, you know that, what makes SWAN a little different? You think you've had it, what, is it 3 years now?
5.
5 years.
5 years.
Okay, 5 years. I mean, what have you noticed? Because you've been part of a lot of networking events.
Correct.
In groups.
It's interesting you use the word different because that is the most common word I hear used to describe SWAN is that it's different. And I think a big part of that is the authenticity, how we can talk about how difficult some things are, and we're not going to discount you because you're saying that something's difficult. Right? That doesn't mean you don't have it together or that you're not a professional. It just means that you're real. And so that freedom that comes with that is something that's highly desired, that women are looking for. We also have an emphasis on mindset that is happening in our posts and in our conference and in our newsletters. We're always talking about mindset. The way we think is going to be a part of everything that comes out of SWAN, because the better that we think, the more that we can accomplish in our own lives, even just as far as personal fulfillment.
Right. Well, I think learning a new skill or going into an event and feeling comfortable. Now, when I first started networking, this had been back in 2014, 13, probably 11. I don't know. I don't want to date myself too far. And I will tell you, I was similar to yourself, even though I would consider myself an extrovert. I just didn't know where to put that energy when I went into an event, and how, like you mentioned, approach a group, right? Of people talking. I didn't know, it was my first time out. I didn't know anybody, hardly. So I had to go out and start making those connections. There may be some people out there in my situation, it's like, I don't know anybody. Maybe they're new in town, right? They took a position, such as yourself, and then they're like, hey, I don't know anybody. So you have to start from ground zero. What tip, and you probably learned a lot, it's been 5 years, Angela, what tip could you give somebody that you have learned that is probably your go-to that works most of the time?
Let's see, I would say that if you want to go in with your value proposition prepared, which is such a fancy phrase, but basically you want to be able to tell people who you are, what you do, how you can help, right? But a lot of times when people go into that statement, they ramble because they haven't prepared. They don't really know what they want to say. And so it's a ongoing rambling thing. And the longer they talk, the less you know or understand about what it is they do.
Yeah.
And that's another way where people might be discounted, right? They might be the very best at what they do, but you also have to be the best at explaining it. So I tell people that your value proposition needs to include 3 things. It needs to be easy to understand, so understandable, memorable, and relatable. And so you don't want to use a bunch of jargon that's specific to your industry, right? You want it to be for the hearer, not
Okay.
for yourself. And if you can put a little story or slogan or something like that that'll help them remember, then that's going to be a useful tool. So for example, I tell people my last name is Angela Schalow. Like
You were telling me that too. And I've had you on the show, and I said the same. I said Shiloh right away, and you're like, and I'm like, oh, that's right.
yes, but it's Angela Shallow, like shallow water, right? Because I'm not a shallow person.
Yeah.
And see, I just made that memorable, right?
You did.
And then I also want it to be relatable. I want to say something that makes the person who's hearing it go, oh, that's me, or that's so-and-so, and I can introduce you. So we want them to relate to the message that we're sharing. So if you go into your value proposition with those 3 objectives of understandable, memorable, and relatable, then you're going to go a lot farther right off the bat with that 30 to 60 second introduction.
Well, I would agree. I didn't put it as simply as that. And sometimes people can do that naturally, and they don't know that they're doing it naturally. I think that, such as I've learned myself, I can do certain things at networking event very easily, and other things, walking up to the lectern to talk is, even though I'm in Toastmasters, it's becoming more and more easy to do. But not everybody feels comfortable doing that. But they don't realize if you can get up there, and you could even be up there for a few seconds, it's just you're gonna connect with somebody in that audience.
Right.
So I always tell people, don't be afraid of it. So that's how I always tell, and I always send them to Toastmasters. But all right, so tell us, okay, so you have SWAN, and then you veer off to one event a year, that it's this big one that's coming up. Can you share what your goals on that one is this year? And who's some of your trainers, speakers, what?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
So it's our annual conference, and for the first time ever, we're going to have a virtual option in addition to the in-person option, so women can attend from around the country. Those who choose to attend virtually will have the best possible experience. You won't just be watching the event that's happening. Instead, you're going to be engaging in your own event. So we have a virtual MC, we have virtual breakout sessions, everything that you need as far as worksheets and so on will all be mailed in advance so that our virtual attendees have the best possible experience.
It's all virtual?
No, we will still have the in-person experience as well.
Okay.
So in person, it's going to be at the Pinnacle in Hudsonville, and it's a full day. We alternate throughout the day between maybe something where you're sitting down and listening to someone versus when you're up and moving and interacting and networking and getting to know people. And throughout that, we alternate because we know that we learn better when we move.
Yes.
And we most remember the thing that was at the very beginning and the thing that was at the very end. So by breaking it up like that, we create lots of beginnings and ends. Mm-hmm. So, right?
Right.
And yes, we have a wonderful speaker lineup this year. We have Abby Leininger with Life and Money with Abby. She is going to be talking about her own concept called Moneyagram.
I think we don't like to even talk about, that's one thing women do need to talk more about is money.
Right.
How to get it, right? Because a lot of them, and how to keep, put it in those little, what do you call it, compartments where you need to think about the virtue, spend it right. Mm-hmm. I want to be wise. Everybody wants to be wise with money.
Yes. Well, a lot of times people are taught that there's only one way and you just have to overcome your own downfalls in order to handle your money correctly. Abby's concept is that if you lean into the strengths of your own personality traits based on the Enneagram, then you can learn to manage your money well without fighting against yourself the whole time, which is just a fabulous concept. So she'll be talking about Moneyagram. We have Nicole Durga talking about communication with purpose, or purposeful communication. And so again, she's referencing the Enneagram as well, just by chance that the committee voted 2 people that had that little bit of overlap, but hers is all about communication.
Correct.
And if you can understand who you're communicating with and understand yourself a little bit better, then those communications are going to be more successful, right? She mentioned that you can do some little quibs to kind of get somebody, but is that really helping your objective? Probably not.
No.
So really excited to do that workshop with her. We also have Becky McDonald from Women at Risk International. She'll be sharing with us some stories of human trafficking survivors and the hope that we see coming out of that unfortunate experience. It's not the most comfortable topic, I know, but we're going to be focusing more on the positive side, the hope, the.
Well, it's huge, and we do hear it a lot in the media.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk to a lot of law enforcement, they said you would be very surprised how it works, because a lot of us think it's it's somebody, you're not in that you know what I'm saying, you're not in that area, we're not in that group, whatever. How quickly you can be seduced is a good word. Just like young people are caught up in it, and before you know it, you're being trafficked.
The stats are scary. It's far bigger problem than the average person realizes, and it's closer to home than people realize. And so the whole event doubles as a fundraiser for Women at Risk International.
Oh, nice. Is
So
that you pick one every year?
we have stuck with Women at Risk thus far. And so there'll be opportunities to purchase raffle tickets. We've got our raffle license approved, and be able to win some prizes that, meet some of your needs, maybe for Christmas shopping or holiday shopping. And so all of that will go to benefit that organization. And then in addition, we have, I'm almost there. Thank you. We have Katie Nicolau with the TV station in Lansing.
Oh, nice.
She's a meteorologist for them, and she has won an Emmy on the concept of tacos versus tornadoes.
No way.
Yeah, so if you think about who your typical meteorologist is, you think about somebody standing in front of a green screen, wearing a blazer, and talking about the weather, right? And instead we have this person who is like super energetic and talking about tacos, and like the way that she talks is just so different and entertaining, but she's being her authentic self. Okay. And so that is what her talk is going to be about. Who better to talk about authenticity than the woman who won an Emmy for tacos versus tornadoes?
That is kind of interesting. Does she bring that concept, the taco thing, into her broadcasting, or was that a separate part of her, I guess, put it out there in video?
Yeah, it's a short.
It's a short.
It's a short,
and
yes.
It hit a home run.
Yes.
Which a lot of people want. I just want to put something out there that gets, 1 million views or something like that.
I don't know how many she got, but enough to get an Emmy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then our final speaker of the day is Holly Gort with Redeemed Mobile Boutique and Beautiful Image Consulting.
I had her on my show.
Wonderful. Yeah, so she's going to be talking with us about, how to pick the clothes that are right for you so that you can really step out into the world in confidence. And it's such a gift, right, to be able to be confident. So if you're in the right clothes for your body shape and the right colors and the right accessories so that you can feel your very best and as you go out into the world, then that's amazing. So she's going to be sharing some of those tips as well.
Well, and she also goes in and she can help you organize your closet, and she can help you. She has other people with her that can get your color scheme, which is very important. And I'm always for less is better. To me, I'm not really lots of people have lots of clothes that they're never going to wear, and they keep. So she helps you get rid of all that and just stick to. And it does simplify your life, where you can open up your closet. I'm like, okay, I'm going to a networking event. All right, maybe you're going to church, right? Or I'm going to dinner, or I'm just every day, which is kind of nice.
Yes.
All right, so you got that going. Let's talk, and that is it. It's going to be happening in Hudsonville, right?
Yes.
That's a huge event you're having it at. The Pinnacle?
The Pinnacle, yes.
Yes. Is that the big, exciting to have it there at such a big venue like that?
It is really exciting, and especially that they offer that live stream version so that we can have a virtual event. The first year we had several women travel here from Florida, and it was wonderful.
Okay.
And they still want to participate, but they're like, we can't travel every year. That makes sense to me, right? And they're not the only ones. There's women all across the country that want to be able to participate, but maybe can't make the trip. So we've got both options.
Okay, and you have the early bird special for all those people that are interested in checking it out. There's a deadline on that, and it fills up fast. What was your deadline? Let's share with us.
Yes, so September 9th is the deadline to be able to order all the extras. If you want the t-shirt, if you want the notebook, then those things, it's September 9th. And we will have late registration available beyond that all the way till at least October 11th. We're toying with the idea of October 15th, but the earlier you get in, the better.
Okay, well, we at Grand Tap Media, we are going to be focusing on communication skills and why this is the time to put your fear aside and say, look, I want a new me this year. I want to create something. I want a door to open. I want to meet people, and I know they are going to give me opportunity. I always tell people it's people that give you the opportunity. You think it's the great video, whatever. No, it's somebody watching that video correctly. So I want you to share how SWAN has changed your career and your life, because I've seen you and I know you. And the social media, and through friends, and I interviewed your husband that has a whole different career. But how has it changed your life to get those communication skills and learn something that you thought would never change your life, what it is today?
Yeah, it's changed my life in a lot of ways. Being a part of SWAN has been super fulfilling. I hear from women all the time about the difference it's made in their lives, and so that kind of fuels me to keep me going. And then even as far as building my own book of business within insurance, when I attend a networking event now, I walk into a room and people know who I am, and they're saying, Angela, hi, and coming up to me, and I don't have to be the one to kind of go and interrupt somebody else's conversation. And so that one change in networking has made a huge difference, where I don't fight against it like I used to, which has been very valuable.
Well, a lot of people dread networking events. They don't like it's part of their job. Maybe they serve on a board and they have to be social, they have to go to social settings, and I will tell you that, and I mentioned that in the beginning, and since 2000, it was pretty getting close, but people are living off this, and I'm not saying that this doesn't have value, right? Because I have it too. But I will tell you, at events, unless you're taking pictures, you need to be connecting to people, right? Everybody else, somebody in person is so valuable because you get the body mannerism, right?
Yes.
The skill, and you learn how to help read people and see if you're making a connection, because this is what I've experienced, and you can share it with this, maybe you know this, but I get where I'm throwing the ball and they're not throwing it. After a while, that conversation becomes too hard, right? It's too stressful. I'm just like, okay, and I'm moving on. If you're the type of person that can't help that
Right.
along, though, you can throw the ball back, not just by simple, what do you do, whatever, you can get through those. There's got to be something else that you want to connect with somebody, and what SWAN does, and everybody, is building trust, like you saw it right there. People start to trust where they can walk in and say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm finally meeting you, Angela. It's been so exciting. You might have never met this person in your life, right?
It happens.
Well, yeah. I'm so happy. Okay, is there anything else that you might want to share that we did not cover that you'd like the people that are watching to know about SWAN, or maybe the opportunity that's coming their way?
I'll share a mission statement real quick. So our mission is to support women at all stages of their careers. That means stay-at-home moms, women climbing corporate ladders, entrepreneurs, all stages of your careers, right? Because being at home with your kids, that's a stage. And
Yes.
some of you might be like, I'm all in here for the long term. Okay, you're still welcome. Come enjoy the relationships. But some people might be dreaming of when they go back to work, right? And so having those relationships in place for when that time comes can also be very valuable. So yes, stay-at-home moms, women in corporate, and entrepreneurs, all stages of their careers, to improve their mindset and their skill set through
Right.
inspiration, education and connection. So everything we do, we're always looking at it through that lens of this is our mission, is it on mission? And if it is, green light, let's go.
And before we end up, what do you, when women are coming in, what is the one thing that you're hearing, maybe that just started being part of SWAN? What is one of the things, kind of common theme you kind of hear? What are you hearing from women that are out there networking? Saying, what, I need to learn more skill. I need to be able to, people know, like you mentioned, know me, because I think it's more important that you may know a lot of people, but it's important that those people know you. But what is it like, I don't know how to have sit at a networking table and be able to be more comfortable. What is?
Yeah, so there's a lot of variety in that, but I think more times than not, we're right back to mindset again.
Okay.
Right? Maybe I hear women say, well, I don't want to be salesy. And that'll be, well, that's good. I don't want you to be salesy either. But do you believe in your product and your service that it's going to help them? Then step up with confidence and go out there and have the conversation so that you can help them. Because if you don't, you're taking away their opportunity to have their needs met.
Right, and being part of the insurance world, it does feel a peace of mind that you have things in place. You still have that anxiety when you're thinking, oh, I haven't upped my insurance. I haven't, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When was the last time I looked at my car insurance to see if it's covering everything with liability?
Yeah.
All of that thing, when I had all of those put into place, it was almost like it gives you a peace of mind. Wouldn't you agree on that?
Yes, as a business agent, absolutely. I talk to, men and women who own their businesses and they don't know what they don't know about how to protect their business with insurance, and they're really relying on a professional to guide them through that. And that's one of my favorite things about my job, is being able to help them protect their dream business.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you too, I didn't know anything about, I heard about it, but umbrella insurance. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that it's not real pricey, but it's really good to have when you need it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, and I never forgot that. So, it's something that that we make sure we have. And people are like, what is it? They have no clue what that is.
Yes.
And when you explain to them what it's for, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's, and then you give them a price, like, I probably could budget that in.
Yeah.
With my other, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So for our audience, an umbrella policy is a policy that goes over your other policies. You've got your underlying policies here, and when the money is used up in policy number 1, you can't access policy number 2. They're separate. But if you've used up the money in policy number 1, you can go up to that umbrella and access some of the money there, as long as it's written correctly so that it's covering those underlying policies
that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Yes, but that was one of the things I will tell you. I went to a networking event and had lunch with an insurance, and this was like 15, 20 years ago, and she just looked at me. She goes, "Yeah, you need umbrella insurance. That's all I got to tell you." And I'm like, "Okay." Because we were discussing stuff. So check it out. If you don't, you might want to give Angela, and she's going to share with our audience how they can reach you and how they can get, of course, SWAN, I'm sure, all the social media platforms, but how can they reach Angela?
Yeah, absolutely. So by email, you can reach me at angela@swansuccess.com. If you're looking for insurance, I'm happy to help there as well. That one's angela.schalow, spelled SCHALOW, at Highland, spelled HYLANT.com. And yes, you can hop on either website or shoot me an email, find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help.
And yeah, when you talk to Angela, you just start to learn. If you are women and you want to connect, definitely take care of the one business part and then talk about how they can be part of that networking event.
Absolutely.
So it's SWAN Con. For
SWAN Con, correct.
SWAN Con. All right, we want to thank Angela Schalow for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I love talking about networking because I do see, I believe, and I tell people, it's people that change your life. Mm-hmm. And when you connect with them. All right, this is Grand Tap Media Business TV. We will catch you next time. Take care, everyone.